Okay, now let us study about resolution of forces. Okay, what do you mean by resolution of forces? Let us understand by taking an example. Okay, suppose we have got this a block. Okay, we have got this block, and suppose there's a force acting on this block with magnitude F1. Okay, a force is acting on this block with magnitude F1. What will happen to this block now? This block will move in this direction. Okay, now what is resolution of force? Now suppose we want to resolve this force. Okay, now what is resolving the force means? It just means we are taking two components of this force. Okay, suppose this is F2 and this is F3. Now what is F2 and F3? F2 and F3 is actually the magnitude. F1 is the magnitude of this original force. F2 and F3 are the magnitude of these components of this force. Now what do you mean by component of this force F1? Now component means what? When you apply this F1 force, your object is moving in this direction. Now when you remove this force F1 and you apply just F2 and F3 on this block, again the block will move in this direction. So simply resolution of force means if you remove this original force F1 and you apply the components of this force F2 and F3, it should give the same effect as this original force F1. Now I will make you understand in a better way. Let us understand it in more simpler way. Suppose there's an object and you just apply the force F2. Okay, a horizontal force with magnitude F2. What will happen? This block will move in this direction. And suppose to the same block you just apply a vertical force F3. Now what will happen? This block will definitely move in downward direction. Okay? Now we are studying the effect of individual force. If you will apply only F2, this F2 force, it will move only in horizontal direction. And if you will apply only this F3 vertical force, it will move in vertical direction. Now what will happen if you apply both the forces together? Okay? This is F3 and this is F2. Now see, because of this force F3, this block will try to move downwards. But because of this force F2, it will also try to move in this horizontal direction. Now by the combination of these forces, it will actually move in this direction. Because of F2, this block will try to move in this direction, but due to this F3 force also, it will come down. So the effect will be in this direction. Now the main thing is, if the value of F3 and F2 is same, okay, if both the values applying on this horizontal as well as vertical direction is same, this block will move in exact 45 degree at the center of this angle. Okay. Now what will happen if this F3 is less and F2 is more? Just imagine F3 is less and F2 is more. So instead of at 45 degree, it will be a bit less than 45 degree. Okay. Now again by seeing our original example, now see, suppose this angle is 30 degree. Okay. Now here we can see if both the forces are equal, we are getting it at object is moving at 45 degree. But we want it to move at 30 degree. So how much will be magnitude of these forces F2 and F3? Okay. So now let us study what will be the value of F2 and F3 such that their combination will give same effect as F1 and acting at 30 degree. Okay. With the same angle and with the same effect. Okay. So suppose this is your force F1, okay, and this is your force F2. ठीक है, what we will do is we will make one right angle triangle with these forces. This is F2 and this is F1, and this vertical force will be your F3. ठीक है, horizontal component is your F2, vertical component is your F3, and the original component is F1. ठीक है, now this angle is given as 30 degree. Now you know that in this right angle triangle, the side opposite to this 90 degree is always called as hypotenuse, whereas the side which connects this 90 degree and the theta given is called as adjacent. ठीक है, and the other side that is opposite to this given angle theta is always called as opposite side. ठीक है, hypotenuse is the side opposite to this 90 degree angle, adjacent is the side which connects this 90 degree and the given theta. Now suppose in the other question, suppose this is F1, this is F2 and this is F3, 90 degree will always remain same. Suppose the F1 force was given theta with vertical component. Suppose this was given as 30 degree. So in that case, opposite side of this 90 degree is always hypotenuse, but side connecting this 90 degree and the given angle is adjacent. So for this case, adjacent will be this F3 side, and whereas the side opposite to the given angle is always opposite. So now in this case, your opposite will be F2, adjacent will be F3, and hypotenuse is always opposite to this 90 degree angle. Okay, so this is clear. Now F1 magnitude you know. In both the cases you know how much is F1. We want to find how much will be F2 and F3, so that you will get this same effect as F1. Similarly in this case, F1 you know, we have to find F2 and F3. Now from this right angle triangle you know F2 adjacent is always okay, hypotenuse cos theta. Value of adjacent is hypotenuse time cos theta, whereas value of this opposite is always hypotenuse time sin theta. Theta is nothing but this 30 degree. So in this case, where the angle of your original force F1 is given with this horizontal force, horizontal component. So in that case, your horizontal component will be F1 cos theta and your vertical component will be F1 sin theta. F1 value you know, theta value you know, so you can find this magnitude of F2 and F3. Understood? Now for example, in this original problem, the angle of this original force was given with the horizontal, okay, horizontal component. Now if this force F1, okay, and its component F2 and F3 were there such that the angle of this original force was given with this vertical component, suppose this was 60 degree, then what would happen? In such cases, see here, this original force is given at 60 degree with the vertical component. So this is your original force F1 and it is given inclined to the vertical at 60 degree, means this theta is given. In such cases, this becomes your adjacent because this is the side which joins your 90 degree angle and the theta. Since this becomes your adjacent, this becomes your cos component. Always remember that. Always remember your adjacent side is your cos component. Cos component of what? Hypotenuse. Okay? Cos of hypotenuse. And your opposite side is sine component of hypotenuse. Okay? Only this makes the difference. You just have to find which component is adjacent, which component is opposite. adjacent will always be your cos theta and opposite will always be your sin theta. So in the question, if the angle of your original force is given with respect to the horizontal component, then your horizontal component will become cos theta, F1 cos theta, whereas your vertical component will become sin component, which will be F1 sin theta. Yeah, F1 cos theta is the magnitude of F2 force, F1 sin theta is the magnitude of F3 force. Similarly, if the angle of your original force is given with respect to the vertical component, okay, with this any vertical direction or vertical component, then your this side will become adjacent side, and since this side becomes your adjacent side, hence the magnitude of this F3 will be your cos component of your original force F1, and the magnitude of F2 will be sin component of this force F1. Understood? The angle from which your original force is given, that decide which component will be your sin component and which component will be your cos component. Understood? So now that we have studied how to resolve the forces of a given force such that it will provide the same effect, now we should understand why do we have to study all this? Why do we have to resolve any force? What's the need of resolving a force? Okay, so now let's understand this by an example. Okay, suppose we have got this block, okay, and there's a force applying to this block. Now, suppose you have to restrict this force by moving. When you will apply this force F, what will happen? This block will start moving in this direction. But you have to restrict that motion. You have to keep this block in equilibrium. So what you can do is you have to apply equal and opposite force F in order to balance this force F such that it doesn't move. The only option so that this block doesn't move is that you need to apply equal and opposite force of this applied force F so that this block doesn't move. Now suppose you have got one constraint. Okay, suppose the constraint is that you cannot apply any force in this area, but you have to constrain the movement of this block. Now what will you do? So now the application of resolution of force come into picture. Now since you now know how to resolve this force into two components, that is horizontal and vertical, suppose this is F2 and F3, now you have more option to restrict these forces rather than this force. Okay? Now instead of applying this force, you can assume that F2 and F3 are applied on this block. Now you have to constrain this motion. So what you can do is, instead of putting this motion, instead of applying this equal and opposite motion of force, you can apply equal and opposite force of this F2 force in this horizontal direction and equal and opposite force here for this F3 force. Now what we did, before there was initial force F, to counteract that force we need to apply this F force, but due to some restrictions we cannot apply force over here. So what we did, instead of this force F, we found its component F2 and F3, such that if F was not applied and only F2 and F3 is applied, then also we will have the same effect. Okay, why we are doing that? So that we will get some other components of force in some other direction rather than this direction. So we got F2 and F3, and you know how to find its magnitude. Now this force is in horizontal direction and this is in vertical direction. Now you can oppose this horizontal force because there is no constraint over here, and you can oppose this vertical force because there is no constraint here. Now since now you know the resolution of forces, you can apply these constraints and restrict this object to move. Okay, now that you have understood the purpose of learning of resolution of forces, there are certain basics which one should know before resolving any force properly. So the first basic is understanding the direction of force component. Okay, this is very important, guys. Before you start resolving any force, you should know in which direction you have to make its component. Okay, we will understand by taking an example. Suppose we have these four forces. This is F1, this is F2, this is F3, and this is F4. Okay, so for any force, you cannot take the component direction anywhere. For example, for this force F, you cannot take its component over here. Again, you cannot take the component over here. It has to be here only. So actually it is very easy by just looking at the force where the components will actually lie, but for even some students this is a bit difficult job. So I thought it is good to know its knowledge actually from where this component direction comes. Okay, so for this purpose, for knowing the direction of components, you should know the quadrants. Okay, you should have the idea of quadrant. So this is your first quadrant, this is second, this is third, and this is fourth. Now, where the direction of component will lie will depend upon in which quadrant your force will be placed. For example, let us take your force F1. Now what you have to do is, it is very simple, just see the origin of the force. So this is the origin of the force, you have to place this origin at the origin of the quadrant. So if I'll place my force F1 origin at the origin of the quadrant, it will come here, F1. So for F1, my component direction will be in this direction and in this direction. So this will be F1, suppose this is theta, so this will be F1 cos theta, and this will be F1 sin theta. Okay, magnitude you know, but you just have to be sure about the component direction. Now let us take an example of F2 force. So what you have to do, guys, just see the origin of the force and place it in this quadrant. Now if I place this origin over here, origin of the quadrant, it will come in this direction, F2. So both this will be the component of this force F2. Okay, like this. This will be the component of F2. Similarly, if we take F3, take the origin of this force F3 and place it on the origin of the quadrant. So your F3 will be here. Correct? So these two will be the components of this F3. Again, for F4, just place this origin of the force at the origin of the quadrant and you have the components of that quadrant. So it is actually very easy, but in case you are in any doubt, just draw the quadrant and place that origin of the force at the origin of the quadrant and you will know the component's direction. Okay. Now we have understood how to take the component of force, in which direction your component of force should apply. Okay. Now second important basic that one must know is where your resolved force actually act. Okay, this is also one of the very important point that you must know before resolving any force. Okay, let us say there's a force F over this block. Okay, now after resolving the force, we will see its components in these directions. This will be F1, this will be F2. Now tell me whether this F1 will be applied over here, whether this F2 will be applied over here. No, where it is going to actually apply on this object, that you must know. See, where the original force F is applying, where it is getting applied over here. Okay, it is this point where this force is acting. So when you resolve the force in two direction, even though here it looks like it is going here and it is going here, where it is actually acting is here. This is F1 and this is F2. This is very, very important. By just resolving in these direction doesn't mean that it is acting in this direction. It is acting in this point, where these components are actually acting at the origin point where this original force was acting. At this same point, both these components are actually acting, F1 and F2, and this is very important to know. So now that you know where the actual point of action is of these components of the forces, you can solve the problem correctly. So how to draw these components, direction of the components, and where they act. These are the two factors which students usually don't understand properly and make mistakes. So by knowing that which directions will be the components of this force and where they will be acting, you can solve your problem correctly. So friends, in next video we will cover some examples also, and I hope this video helped you in clearing your basics of this chapter. Again, if you wish more such basics of any subject to get clear, do comment and let me know. I would be happy to post videos like this on there. Again, please like, share and subscribe my channel. Thank you.